everybody, welcome to GeekStorm. I'm Sean Hilton, owner of Comics Cube, founder of the Kokomo Con, which is coming up Saturday, October 12th from 10 a.m. till 5 p.m.
That's right around the corner.
It is. I'm so excited. We've got the Silver Power Ranger from
Silver
space.
Power, he's the one
Justin
from space.
Nemo's going to be here. Woohoo! And then we got some UFO guy that just contacted us out of the blue that's like, I guess, well known. So he's going to be here for like an hour.
Which UFO guy?
I don't know. So Gene Mean something. I don't know. Supposedly from like this area, started UFOM or FOFU or so Fumon.
Huh.
So yeah, it was kind of weird because
Can you get Giorgio?
I mean, I'm not even trying to be like a jerk about it. I honestly, 3 different like fans Facebooked me the other day, like pop, hey, you should have this guy at the show. I'm like, I don't know who that guy is, but thanks. And you know, I was nice enough, and I'm like, okay. Boom, there's another one. Different person asking for the same guy. I'm like, that's weird. Hour later, the third guy hits me up about having this guy. I'm like, what's going on? This is getting a little strange.
Well, you know what Northern Indiana does not have.
What is that?
It does not have its own UFO con.
Well, UFO con.
Yeah.
Well, so
we tell you,
I believe that we're working out with this gentleman.
It started with 1, and now there is, I think, 4 of the major ones.
That's awesome.
It's all the same convention.
We should have this gentleman at the show for like 2 hours.
Apparently this year alone, there have been a number of UFO sightings in Indiana.
Yeah. Hotbed.
Coming on strong.
Hotbed, yeah. We got
So
Grissom.
we'll have more information on that soon.
More information on UFOs. You know what is today? Speaking of that,
what's today, Nick?
Today is the day.
I honestly don't know.
That they storm Area 51.
Today's the day?
There has already been arrests.
There have been arrests.
There, people are the hotels and motels all around it are sold out. I thought it was canceled.
That's awesome.
I thought, this wasn't going to be a
You can't cancel the revolution.
I guess not. So I look forward to seeing,
shots,
exciting
horrible
news.
memes.
I truly, truly do hope that people are sensible enough to not push a secured military installation.
Black site, do you mean?
To the point where
the
they
Guantanamo Bay for aliens?
It may be.
Oh, I don't think you're taking this very seriously. These people are patriots.
I truly hope
they are doing their best to help uncover the dark lies that have been seeded in the United States history that we're going to get to the bottom of.
Have you seen pictures of the little sign there? It is essentially a shoot to kill. Yeah, it's truly do hope for. So
instead of they're doing their Naruto run,
yes.
They need to be playing like AC/DC Shoot to Thrill as they're going.
I mean, it's two very clashing sets.
What's going to be awesome is when Iron Man, Suit 8 shows up and just starts pulsar raying everybody. Yeah. I'm going to love that part.
So yeah, that should be.
I had heard that was canceled and that somebody who was involved with it initially then set up like an actual festival that was supposed to be taking place.
I don't know. I know people.
It was like the Fry Festival of UFO stuff because they're like. Even
it's
if
going to strand them in the desert.
No, they're like, even if this was successful, he goes, the infrastructure for this little town, the Roswell area, it's not set up. It can't do it. It's got like our Coco Motel or something, a couple of those. I've never been there. I don't know. I'm just telling you what I have seen. So, you know what? I wish them the best of luck. I hope they have a good time. Nobody get hurt.
Yeah.
Uncover your own truths and do what you got to do. For us, as I said, we'll announce this guy once we make it official because it was weird. We've never had so many people contact us out of the blue. And then he got my email, we infoed, so I just got to write him back. But having a guest for only an hour or 2 is a little weird, so we've never done that before, but he has a previous engagement at Sunspot. So we're going to look into it. We're going to try to make it happen.
Okay.
It should be fun. I wish everybody the best.
I'm a big fan of Ancient Aliens.
I know. Well, it's not the guy with the hair.
I know, it's Georgia.
It's not that guy.
No.
I mean, he's well out of our range.
I feel insulted if you didn't let me know he was coming.
So, well, you'd be his handler. You always have to have a handler, so somebody that makes sure that keeps the Carlsbadgers up. We had 2 unfortunate deaths, not necessarily related to geekery, but related in the world of music. With, I believe, let me make sure I get the right one. Eddie Money, or make sure because there's a couple monies. So.
I believe it was Eddie.
Eddie Money, and of course Rick Ocasek, who that one I know for sure.
You know him?
Not personally, but I know his music well. I have probably 2 or 3 different Cars albums on vinyl. I listen to a lot of that.
I always have a fond memory of my wife in the Cars because she did not know the lyrics to that song and made up her own.
Were they good?
They were unique.
Yeah? What was she singing? Any clue?
I
Do you
think
remember
it's
at all?
here in my car, I'm as big as a whale. I can go really fast. I can go really slow.
Yeah.
In cars.
That's
Love you, honey.
That's Gary Newman, and he's, I think, still alive.
Yeah.
That's not
Oh.
Rick Ocasek. On the
Oh,
Cars.
that's it. Yep,
Rick
so that's my bad.
Ocasek was lead singer of a band called
Called
The
Cars.
Cars. You're thinking of a
The
song
song
by
called
Gary
Cars. It
Newman
was
called
Cars.
Cars. Here in my car.
Yep, here in my car.
I feel safest.
Yeah, I do know the lyrics. Apparently, I really don't know who sings it.
Big
but-
fan. Good music. So either way, sad to see him go. Big fan of the music, and if you're an '80s kid like I was, his videos and things like that nature. Him and Tom Petty seem to go back and forth with cool, funky videos. So
Tom Petty lost me with the corpse one.
the corpse one, okay.
Last Chance, I believe it was.
Oh, probably. I think
Like
by
he
that
works in a
point,
morgue and
I think by that
yeah.
point I'd quit watching
Yeah, it was,
that sort of thing. Want to apologize to our many viewers out there. Last week we promised we were going to be doing the dice float salt test, and unfortunately things got a little crazy in my life this morning. I did not get a chance to get the supplies. We're all praying for manager Andy, who's in the ER right now, but he goes to the ER a lot, so we're not going to make too much of a big deal about it, but it did make it, so my wife's off helping manager Andy of Comics Cubed get through whatever it is that he's going through, which I know, but I'm just not going to tell you, and we're going to vague that. He's sick. So we're not going to do it. But I think at this point, I think we can all agree that the producer, director, Nick, I think we're ready and willing to do like a 30-minute special on gaming where we can do that stuff. Plus, if we're going to do the dice thing, currently we use one fixed camera. For our dice thing, we're going to probably want to have like some kind of camera to actually look
Gotta have
at
a side,
the
yeah.
bowl and stuff like that.
Oh, see,
So-
we need a multi-camera set.
We used to.
We've been-
We used to have 3.
I feel like we've been cheated in recent years.
Well, we used to have like multiple people.
Is it because
working on the
Harrison
show.
brought the quality of this show down?
Well, Harrison brings the quality of everything he's involved in down. But no, we used to have like two to three people helping make the show, and now we have, one poor guy who sets it all up, and then we leave him, and then like 40 minutes later, he passes by the store with all the equipment on a little trolley, taking it back.
I believe one time we went to breakfast and came back to your store, and
You might have just been coming back because that's how we roll. So that's unfortunate. In the world of comics, I want to get into some comics.
he's not gonna help him.
Oh no, I'm not going to change that. No. Turns out I still have to open my store at a particular time. Just happens today I was able to make my breakfast, which is why I was a couple minutes late getting here today.
No
plus
breakfast.
some other stuff.
I've had no coffee yet this morning.
I've had this. I haven't actually had any of it yet. So we got some books we want to talk about. 'Cause we want to talk about a lot of comics.
I mean, I'm fine with talking about comics.
First off, we got two biggies from the two biggest companies. We've got Flash Forward from DC Comics, which is a 6-issue miniseries that's going to have multiverse implications. And at this point, if you follow the Arrowverse on TV, even if you're not a comic fan, you're well aware of what a multiverse is they have their summer crossover, or their big crossover every year where they bring in Supergirl and all those other characters. And this year is going to be the biggest one of all. So this is going to deal with Wally West, who's about the third Flash.
I was about to ask. I thought that was Wally,
It's
but
Wally.
then I was not positive. I've been reading Flash.
Yeah.
So.
So with this one, the idea is that the big late winter, early spring through summer book for them was a book called Hero Crisis, in which you find out that there's a therapy, mysterious secret therapy thing for superheroes to go to for like PTSD and to get over all the horrible things.
So the DC has the therapy group, and then
Yes.
don't they also? Is it DC or is it Marvel? I could be wrong. That has the Wrecking Crew. They're the ones that clean up.
I think they both have one. Damage Control is Marvel.
Control. Damage
But
Control's
I think
Marvel.
DC now has a
Has
group
their own.
like that.
They
too.
had that short-lived show.
That was DC. That
Yeah,
was based
that
kind of
was-
like on what you would expect Marvel's thing to have been about.
Yeah, it was like-
which is weird, but it was fun. I
insurance
enjoyed it. I
agency.
watched it all. But so the idea is in the this previous series, Wally West ends up murdering like a bunch of heroes somehow by accident, but then realizing what he did and then tries to cover it up by murdering a future version of himself, transporting him back and messing with some stuff. Which is weird because Wally was the Flash for like nearly 30 years or something like that. He's Flash that I grew up with since like 8th grade up until New 52.
Now Barry Allen's the new hotness.
Barry was the Silver Age Flash. He came back and now he's super hot, but there's still a lot of fans that love Wally, and DC just continues to crap all over him. We're hoping that this 6-issue miniseries will be the book that kind of revives him and gets rid of all this murderous crap they threw on him, because they just don't seem to be able to use the character correctly. It'd be different if like that was some big thing that had led to a big character development.
Yeah.
But honestly, it just felt like, yeah, we're just going to keep crapping on this character, and just
Poor Wally.
keep irritating the fans.
Now I do have to say the ad that I flipped open to.
Is that
This
great?
just it's if anyone remembers the original 1983 V. This reminds me.
Blu-ray.
Yeah, it's on
Like,
Blu-ray now.
I watched that as a kid.
I'm not gonna lie. I'm
and
probably gonna pick this up.
I can't imagine that being the quality good
it's
enough to put into
probably
Blu-ray.
gonna be not live up to my hopes and dreams.
Art-wise, the book's pretty solid. Story-wise, Watcher-like figure from the Marvel Universe and the DC Universe is there to get involved. Wally's rotting in a jail because the superheroes don't know what to do with him. And so then he gets attacked. Of course, there's a big fight. The multi-dimensional Watchery dude shows up to help, and he is immediately teleported into an alternate dimension, and we go from there. Mediocre. It's not my best. I don't think it held up very well. It didn't. Man, art was good. Story was mediocre. It's the kind of stuff we've seen before.
Did it set it up to
didn't-
be a good overarching story?
I didn't get it out of it.
All
I
right.
got mopey, I'm a murderer Wally, which nobody really wanted to see. We see that the building blocks are there for him to come back from it all and rebuild his character.
So would this
but
be a put in your pull list or?
if you're a Flash fan of any sort, of any of the Flashes, then I think it's a definite get. If you're just a casual reader, then I'd say this is a pass. There's a lot of
Wait for the trade.
Yeah, well, then you have to know they summarize a little bit of Hero Crisis, but honestly, if you don't have a foundation with Wally or the Flash stories, skip it. That leads us into the Henry Abrams and J.J. Abrams Spider-Man #1. This is probably going to be the biggest selling book of this month.
Really?
In the world of American comics, and this got a lot of ballyhoo. This was the Twitter, Facebook, social media thing where they were like Spidey, and people were like, "What are they doing? Like a forced Spidey with the original cast? What's going on?" It was really weird, mysterious, and then eventually it was revealed that it's an Abrams-produced Spider-Man comic book. And then once you really did the background on it, you figured out that it's not. It's his son. It's
Abrams' son?
It's Abrams'
Okay.
son. Now,
And it was
JJ's
Spider-Man's son
name
or
is
Abrams' son?
first,
Uh-huh.
but you definitely didn't get the impression that that's the case. It feels like it's Abrams' son wrote it, and then Dad came in and did the rewrite or looked it over and said, "Yep, that's good enough. Slap my name on it." Yeah. So.
I was going to say I didn't know who
Henry
Abrams, who J.J. Abrams' son was. I didn't know his name was also J.J. And they were just like,
Oh nope.
I was like, wow, that's really, that's kind of a
yeah.
big wool over the eyes type thing.
So you get that great cover,
It's a good
you know,
cover.
Spidey, Mary Jane. It turns out, and so we're going to go into a spoiler review here.
Ooh, spoilers.
Alternate reality dimension thing. Now, it appears that it's an alternate reality dimension thing where we will be focused. It's not going to be like a hopping, we're in and out of a reality. Like we're just happen to be following a Spider-Man from, not from the 616 universe, but from a different universe. This was pretty poor.
Ooh.
This was not good. This was obviously done by someone who has not cut their chops in real comics. Maybe they've read some comics. Maybe they've studied comic writing. Maybe they've taken their first 100-level course. But it doesn't hold water very well. The art, again, that's they went with a go-to artist in Sarah Pacelli.
Okay.
She's great. She does really good
mean,
work.
Some of the panels, I'm going to be honest, some of the panels as I flip through here are really, I think, really good and tight. A couple of them, I think, are not as, I don't know, not as good.
Well, by looking at it, you can tell that they haven't been.
That's really tight.
They're following some of the traditional comic tropes, and they are not following other comic tropes. So, in essence, it's a strange situation because you're getting a guy who hasn't quite figured out that you can't abuse your artist. And I'm sure that Sarah would say she wasn't abused. She was well paid. But if you look at a standard comic anymore, it's between 4 and 5 panels. That's pretty much standard across the board. And it feels a little lame because back in the day, you got a lot more. But if you look through this, the first couple have that, but all of a sudden it breaks into many more panels and a lot more going on as the writer is trying to convey more information than what would normally be told.
conveyed.
So in one way, it's kind of cool because you feel like you're getting more, but then the writer's not using his words. So there's a lot of blank captioned kind of panels or things like that. Some of the captions also feel very cheesy, like bad movie, like bad JJ. What are you thinking, JJ? Kind of stuff.
Or Henry.
Somebody, as again, and maybe if given some time, but this definitely feels like a case of someone that was given an opportunity that they hadn't quite earned yet.
I mean, that's a whole page dedicated to just black and one tiny word bubble.
Yeah, somebody was trying to go with something on that, and honestly, it didn't really.
That is a waste of ink.
It didn't pay off. I got what they were trying to do, but
Like maybe a panel
it didn't
like
work.
that.
And then on top of it, it's I said alternate reality, so we burst 12 years in the future, and this is going to follow the son of Mary Jane and Spider-Man as Mary Jane is killed in the first couple of pages. Spidey is horribly wounded, and basically it sounds like he's abandoned his son.
All the technology he has. And
Yeah.
it's a hook. I was like,
Yeah, again, kind of silly. So, I'm going to give it another shot or two, but honestly, unless you're just a huge Spider-Man fan who gets everything, this is actually a pass, believe it or not.
wow. So
Yeah, and it's sad because that's a big book. It's selling a lot of copies. I don't want to poo-poo something because it's the new hotness and I want to be the hipster kid cool. But the one thing I have going for me is integrity when it comes to telling people the truth about comics in the store. If you come in the store and you ask me what's good, we may have a difference of opinion, our styles and what we like, but I'm never going to lie to you to sell you a book. And if I came out and said that Spider-Man book is the best thing that's been out all year, that would be me trying to sell you a book. It's not the best thing that's out this year. It's not the best thing that was out this week. It's probably not the best Spider-Man book out this week. And it felt like it needed a lot of work. So that said, I'm still going to give it another issue or two. I'm going to show up and read a couple to see if maybe
he hits the
it's gonna go
ground
in
and
a
finds
different
his footing.
direction.
And
Exactly.
I said it's for his first book.
I believe so.
So-
If he's done anything else, it's either been under a different name or it's been I'm so oblivious to it that I haven't heard. But seeing it's Abrams' kid, I got to think, probably would have heard about it. Follows into the last book we're going to talk about. There's a ton of great books out this week. Marvel and DC's big book, but this is IDW's G.I. Joe #1. Full disclosure, it is written by Paul Allor.
I know him.
He is from the Kokomo area, and I would not have my store if it wasn't for this guy. We probably wouldn't be doing this show if it wasn't for Paul. I don't know that the producer would have a job at this place where he's at right now if it hadn't been loosely connected all the way down through a spider web of the same guy. So,
We're gonna push pen board and some string.
yeah, he's in a little bit of time he connected all that stuff. So he is the writer of the new G.I. Joe, and it is a really interesting take. The idea here is that in the war of G.I. Joe versus Cobra, Cobra just won.
Yeah, obey Cobra.
Obey Cobra. They're the winners, and now you start getting this story from G.I. Joe's point of view where they are the underdogs. They are fighting to be rebels and stay alive. It kicks off with a major death of one of the most beloved and known Joes of all time.
Steve from
And
accounting?
It could have been Steve from accounting. But what also makes it interesting is the level of grittiness that this goes to. That page right there is the one I'm talking about. This is done with the laser fight of the bumbling stormtrooper / Cobra guys shooting each other and nobody hitting anything for days on end or robots getting shot. This opens up with a real person, Major Blood puts a gun basically up against his head, pulls the trigger, and you see it in black. And so,
I'm glad a named villain got to do it.
yeah, and they do name him. They talk about it. So there's some stuff going on. It's pretty intense. Hardcore G.I. Joe fans of the 3.75 inch line or however tall they were, the 80s Joe figures, may not love it because this is the extension of the growth that you would have expected to have seen instead of just the ongoing adventures over and over and over again, which that book still continues as well. There is a classic G.I. Joe that follows the vintage storyline. This is G.I. Joe for the year 2019, and some new stuff. I would
Cobra
say
has won. We are.
Yeah.
I mean, how's Cobra? Are they ruling the world, or they just the
Yeah,
country?
they won.
Oh, they got everything. So
I mean, I'm sure there's still holdouts who will
Yeah.
follow that, but in the United States, they've won. And if you're taking out the United States, then not to be too egocentric, I got to think you're probably taking out, anything else you want. I don't think Canada's going to put up a huge fight if you just rolled through the United States. But it's bold. It's got a clear, cool little vision. And he's a modern writer, so it has all the modern stuff you're not going to see. And nobody does this anymore. It's not in any of these other books either. But the idea of thought capsules and internal monologues and things like that are gone. And unfortunately, I think the only thing I'd say about this book is that could have used a little bit of that. They introduce a brand new character who we don't know anything about. So you don't know when he is talking, Paul is having the character convey information, but we don't know whether he's lying or not. And if there was an inner monologue, we would have a better idea of whether, is he telling the truth? Is he lying? Is he what he says he is? As that part of the mystery. But all in all,
and what can you tell us about the new character?
not a lot. He's, brand new. He seems to be a smuggler, street rat kind of character that's getting by in the new world of Cobra. He was obviously smuggling and doing some things to get around checkpoints and stuff as Cobra was coming into power. Now that they're in power, he is, he's finding those things trickling off and harder to make his living. And then in the info dump we get Cobra has killed parents and boyfriends disappeared and things of that nature. So interesting take. I liked it. I would say out of the three, it's probably the one I would go to because it's the most forward moving with original ideas and things of that nature. But the other two were okay.
All right.
Yeah, there you go. Yay. I'm going to drink some of this while you talk about whatever you're going to talk about.
What have you been watching lately? So I talked a little bit before. I made it through your
Dairy Girls?
yeah.
Netflix Dairy Girls. Nothing geeky about it, but I enjoy the heck out of it.
Shows. It'd be the thing Harrison would talk about, like some Netflix shows. So got to bring
But then it's funny. He picks and chooses.
Yeah.
So
I've been catching up on a lot of old stuff that probably people have already been through and watched and seen, and I didn't feel super great yesterday at all. I don't feel super awesome today, but
What's wrong
I'm
with
here. My head's like messed up. I feel like real old pain in the back of my head.
sorry to hear that.
It's all right. I don't think you did it. Unless you came into my room last night while I was sleeping and just kept hitting me in the back of the head. Then in that case, maybe it was your fault. But no, I watched both seasons of that. Because
Dairy Girls is an Irish show.
Yeah.
I like it. I think it's hilarious.
I think it was made for BBC Four, actually. And Netflix does this weird thing. If you hadn't already know this or didn't notice that Netflix originals are just stuff that they're the only way you can view it in the United States.
Yes.
Well, only way you can view it.
They repurpose other countries' shows and then bring them over.
Because Black Mirror is a Netflix original, which I don't actually believe originally was Netflix. No. I think they bought into it quite a bit. They gave a bunch of money.
I'm sure some of the stuff is now
but I'm pretty sure Black Mirror was
there's a lot of that stuff that goes on that way. Anything where they have some kind of accent, Asian stuff, anime stuff, almost all of that is not actually.
Not to say that Netflix has made actual produced all the way through opening and beginning, but
not as many as you might think with as many originals as out there.
Good name. But the other thing I watched yesterday, which I actually liked quite a bit, was Russian Doll.
Okay, I haven't watched that yet.
So I would
Groundhog Day with
dark humor. Yeah. It's definitely a dramedy. It's
with one of the stars from Orange Is the New Black.
There's actually a couple of them in there.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
Not that she's the one. She's like the main character. Gotcha. I forget her name in Orange Is the New Black, but she's like the main character. But there's a couple other you see that are in it as well. I actually watched all of it twice yesterday. I watched the entire season twice.
I can't do that.
I watched it all at home by myself in the morning when I wasn't feeling super great. And then when Lauren got home, we watched it all the way through again.
It must be pretty quick then.
They're like 24-minute episodes. Okay. And there's only one season currently.
They're like 6, 8, 10 episodes.
I can't remember. It's 8 or 10.
Okay.
So it's not too terribly long, but like the amount of detail in the background. That'd be the thing. If you haven't watched it, it's really good. The story's traumatic and funny. It has a lot of good, funny moments. The characters are interesting as it moves through. But the detail of what is going on in the background is pretty impressive. It's one of the big reasons why, because I didn't fully start catching stuff till a couple episodes in.
Okay.
And then I went back and I was like, I'm going to rewatch this because I want to see
What's going on?
everything. And I know there's stuff even with the episodes that I started noticing things going on. I wanted to see the background.
It was like that ghost haunted hill
Kinda
thing
like-
where there's
sort
something
of
going on
yeah,
in the background that's
there's
important
definitely
and-
stuff. There's stuff that's happening, and it gets a little bit more as it gets towards the end. Some of it gets a lot more heavy-handed.
Okay. More obvious.
Yeah. They straight up show you like several things, but I think it's interesting to start seeing in the early episodes that even in the earliest episodes there was like these changes and these things were happening.
Kind of cool. Now, does it have an ending, or does it seem to open for season 2?
They apparently got renewed for a season 2.
Okay.
I don't know if it's the same characters or not. I will say that I think it is wrapped up.
Okay.
If there wasn't a season 2, I would be absolutely happy with that ending.
Okay.
I don't know if what they're going to do with season 2. I don't know if they're going to follow different people, if it's going to be a different scenario, or if there's more to. I didn't even bother to look and see if this was based on some kind of book or anything else. But I would highly recommend that. I watched your Dirty Girls. I'd say I check it out.
Well, the Russian doll wasn't like not on my list. It was just there's so much stuff to watch. So I've been picking and choosing. We binge watched Sabrina season 1 and 2. Finished that up. Then we within 12 hours watched all of The Ranch, the new season.
Love that show.
There's one season coming up. Then we finished The Boys last night, and now I think Carnival Row.
I'm debating on starting that next.
I might jump on. And then, of course, this is September. We're almost in the middle of September. So we will start seeing real television start to kick in.
I don't watch a lot of that. But yeah.
I don't either, but there'll be something.
I will say
we should be getting some new news on Doctor Who soon. So Star Trek, Orville's been picked up by FX or something. So it's moving over. Hulu, somebody's picked it up, though.
I could be wrong.
Somebody's
pretty
picked it
sure
up.
that
it's
Hulu,
moving.
Yeah, they which
probably won't be till January though if they're going to do it like they did. I think last year they waited till January.
It's going to be on Hulu, but it won't be
So
on 2020.
because
so we
with that breaking away from Fox, I know that Seth MacFarlane he's had some minced words with Fox execs. So I think them probably.
Well, I mean, Fox has never
touch.
met a good show they don't like to cancel.
I mean,
so
they still hold probably the one that made Seth MacFarlane a name that people know, Family Guy, and they canceled that. So and then
brought it back.
Yeah, I think
years
it
later.
may still be the longest gap in a show. I think Doctor Who's excluded because it wasn't actually canceled. They just stopped doing it because Doctor Who I know has a longer gap. But of a show that was officially
we're done with you.
Yeah, we canceled you, and then 3 or 4. It's 3 years went by, and they're like, "Hey, that one show."
We want to make some more money.
It's like people really seem to have liked it.
Yeah, the reruns for that are doing really well.
Yeah.
So we got that going on. In the world of tech stuff, talked a little bit about Apple TV last week. Now all of a sudden the Peacock's coming online, which is going to be NBC streaming service. So last week I brought up about IV banking with the drip coming straight out of your bank account. And this is one of those things we pointed out was there's so many little things that are nickel and diming our bank accounts that at what point is it overflowing? And now NBC with Peacock. Now I'm under the impression that CBS All Access has done that remarkably well, and they had Star Trek behind them.
I think Star Trek was the thing that actually
at
least gave them.
That was definitely the flagship.
Yeah.
That was what was.
That was their foundation on which they built their house.
We think you're going to be willing to pay for Star Trek,
Yep.
and that's what we're going to do. And I've seen a lot of negative feedback about that one. So we'll see. Now, Peacock is supposed to give us remakes of Saved by the Bell.
Yep, which from what I understand, they hadn't asked Tiffany Amber Thiessen yet.
Okay.
From a brief article I read, and the other actor they said, it may have been the principal.
Okay.
I don't.
I never watched.
There's 2 actors that apparently were caught off guard that they're
being talked to.
Yeah, that they're redoing this.
No clue.
Which I'd be very surprised to not have Tiffany Amber Thiessen. With the stuff that Dustin Diamond has gotten into, wouldn't surprise me for him not to be there.
I wouldn't bring back him.
Yeah.
But the bigger one being Battlestar Galactica has been named as being redone. Now, we don't know whether it's an all-new thing.
Is it a continuation?
I don't think it's a continuation.
Or the continuation of the actual first one or the second one, or
I don't know,
scrap both, all new?
Honestly, one from the original, which is the one that was my geeky childhood and I loved. Those guys are dead.
Oh yeah.
There's not many people coming back for that. And then with the new one, there's been such a length of time between them, but also that one had so much closure. They killed off so many characters. So many characters are Cylons that I don't see how you go back and you redo Battlestar.
They did the prequel,
Capricorn, which then got canceled.
Not Capricorn.
Sorry, that got canceled without even finishing its season. I was told.
Yeah, I think so.
So
which left a lot of people.
It definitely
upset.
went its route. It hit its pinnacle. It's done. All the major characters are done. So the only thing I can see that you do is you redo the show yet again for a third time. And honestly, this isn't one of those things where it's been that long.
Yeah.
Like we all remember, Katie Sackhoff and Starbuck. There's not a lot that we're not going to be like, it's something,
It's a weird one to see another iteration because it's not like an on. I didn't ever watch all of Battlestar, the newer Battlestar. I've seen
me neither.
Probably all of actually the original Battlestar actually. But yeah, I've only seen a handful of episodes. It's something I always tell myself I'm going to go back and watch because I feel like people, when I tell them that I haven't seen it,
let me know when you do
they
it,
want to slap me.
I got through, I think, almost the limited series before it became a series.
Like the mini-series?
Yeah,
kind of
I didn't even get through that. I just didn't get what people were loving about it. But that's me on a lot of things.
But hey, a good friend of ours, Dr. Jones, that means there might be a new
board game?
A new edition
he'll be so excited.
the Battlestar board game, which I think is one of his favorite.
He does love that board game. Yeah. In other news, seeing we're over time already, but it never really matters because I don't think any of this thing ever, I don't know how this works. We don't care.
It's magic as far as I'm concerned.
Ghost.
Based on you and having to open a store.
No, all right. Ghostbusters 3 as finally beginning some more news. We're looking at 2020 still. They are in the middle of principal photography. Initial reports were that
be late 2020 then.
We were getting all the original cast back that was still available
I was gonna
to do.
One of them's going to have to be a ghost.
Now, all of a sudden, in more recent reports, Bill Murray's on the line again. And from what all the reports are saying, again, they're supposed to finish principal photography in October. Again, middle of September now, so less than a month, I would think, before we're going to wrap up that principal photography. He's not shown up. He's not done anything. So either A, this is the greatest secret ever, or B, he's not in it. It's A or B.
The way you left that, I was like...
Well, because there's a third thing I want to talk about. Ernie Hudson has come out and said he's in it. Aykroyd has come out and said he's in it. We're under the impression that Sigourney Weaver is in it, and we're under the impression that Annie Potts is in it. The only person whose name has been left out of the equation is Rick Moranis, who has retired for like 20 plus years and has only come back to dabble here and there very rarely.
I think he is going to be getting back. I read an interview, actually. There was a newer interview with him.
Okay.
And he got out of everything for his kids.
Yeah, his wife died and he stopped to take care of his children.
Yeah, but his children are now grown and older. And
he can do his thing?
Yeah, and I think, but
But do you come back to that?
Yeah, I guess it was like, I mean, if it was me and there was money and I
sure.
Absolutely.
I don't know that he needs it. I honestly don't know that he needs it. But
he probably gets good residuals.
Regardless of all of that, if he
wouldn't be the make or break character.
No. But if Murray hasn't shown up for any principal photography yet, hasn't shown up, they're going to wrap. It tells you that even if he's in it, it's such a bit part that it's not going to matter. It comes down to a cameo at that point. It's going to come down to a few minutes on screen at best.
Maybe it's his funeral.
Ooh, that'd be interesting.
Maybe that's the big thing. Like he's only his parts in the beginning, funeral.
That'd be a good way to do it. Maybe it'd be at least interesting. The taking on is what we're hearing.
Or maybe he's the bad guy, and that's gonna be. Ooh. If that turns out to be it, I said it here first.
But it's supposed to be about their families, like the descendants, the children of the original Ghostbusters. So I think that could be interesting. We'll see how that all fares out.
And we got that. The only thing we've had is that one teaser thing of like the barn door opening and
just the Ecto-1
Ecto-1
flap.
and then I think there was the sound of the proton pack, maybe. I don't remember. I thought there was a sound or something.
So got some cool stuff going on there. And the last thing we touch on is I saw a YouTube video of all things.
Oh,
because watching a lot of
tell me about this YouTube.
Watching a lot of Netflix, and there was a review for a show that I'd actually almost clicked on. I'm like, oh, well, let's review it. And the review was Island,
Oh.
I-L-A-N-D.
I just watched the
The worst Netflix show ever is the title of the thing.
See, that doesn't
And I'm
make me
like-
not want to watch
I'm
it.
like, all right, let's watch the review. Oh my. Now again, this is a guy's review. It was slanted. It was him ripping it to shreds. But, oh holy cow. It looked awful.
Did you watch the trailer?
I did. The
Okay.
trailer made me go, all right, that looks like I might want to watch
It
that.
looks kind of like a Netflix
Low-budget Lost?
low budget Lost
It did.
with a little bit of the. I think the horror movie was called The Cabin. Is that
Okay,
the one where,
yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yes. I agree.
It looks like kind of that, and it's like,
Yes.
all right, we have about $37.50 to make this.
All right, let's go. So yeah, this goes through it all, explains it all. The island appears to be just a train wreck. The Rotten Tomato or whatever score they were talking about was like a 3-point something rather. And then once they actually went through and started breaking down the episodes, yeah, none of it makes sense at all. We might have to get together. If there was any way to legally, maybe we can do a stream thing. They do that, right? You watch a show and you stream it where we talk about it. Like,
I think.
yeah, everybody.
Okay, I don't think I can post that.
So
Hey, he's gonna have to blur it all out. Way to ruin the show. Have to start over.
yeah, it was holy cow.
I may still fire up an episode or two.
I mean, they've ruined all the twists and stuff, if you could call it that, but like, it just doesn't make any sense.
It'll all still be surprises to me. 'Cause
Yeah.
I saw that.
Oh, don't watch this then.
I was like, this looks
I will say
bad,
that one of the
but-
things that it cracked me up, because I think they just expect people's brains to turn off between episodes. But the thing is, it's on Netflix, so they don't even have that like week to 2 weeks in between episodes
mull it over
for you
and
to
let
kind
it
of
sink
forget
in.
about things. So in the very first episode, like a guy gets attacked by a shark.
Ooh, okay.
And they
Nice.
get him back up onto the beach and save his life or whatever, or they find him back on the beach, something weird like that. Save his life. And by the next episode, I think he's running. You know, he's like practically dead. And then the very next episode, he's running and stuff like that. It's just like, wait a second, how'd that happen? There's a lot of stuff going on. So it might be, Killer Tomatoes kind of, so
When
bad.
does
it's
that
worth
get
watching.
remade?
Oh, who knows? As soon as we
Attack of the Killer
get
Tomatoes?
I guess. I don't know. Attack of the Campbell soup can or something. All right, everybody. Thanks for checking us out. We are GeekStorm. I'm Sean Hilton.
Hi, I'm Mitch Gray.
We'll see you next week. Be groovy.